Okay, diving into what we have for today. We're going to go into more of AI, strangely enough, right? A lot of you have been asking for it. I kind of wanted to dive into a little bit more about what's been happening, a little bit more about a lot of this is old news, but it's kind of interesting to see where we're at and where we're going. Because I wanted to make sure, hey, with what's going up and what's next, how are we adapting to the circumstances, right? So first of all, I just like this quote. Artificial intelligence could have more profound implications for humanity than electricity or fire. What does that mean to you guys? Like, that's a pretty powerful statement by the CEO of Alphabet, right? Like more than you think about it. Like, how much has electricity or fire changed our world? And he's saying that there's probably more that's going to happen with humanity from AI than either of those.
Sounds biased.
Sounds biased. Biased. I love it. What else?
There's a that was talking about it, and there were the both sides, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't use it correctly, then it's gonna dumb you down.
Yeah.
And or you can learn and be learn from it if you use it correctly. The problem is that who's teaching how to use it correctly?
Good. So you very much, if you're using it correctly, it's going to have more impact on you as an individual than not. Good. So here's kind of what's interesting, right? First of all, robots, right? They're going to take over the world. No, I mean, we've all seen those movies. So, right? They're all over the movies. No, but I love it. So I wanted to show these ones. I'm not showing the videos, but you can always go look them up. I mean, literally, right? More and more automation's happening, right? I very much am one of the people who I want to, in a few years, when Tesla has a robot for a maid, I'm going to totally have it where I have a robot walking around my house cleaning things up, right? Sounds way better than trying to get my kids to do it. So,
Probably do a better job.
I know, right? They'll do better. No, right? Again, interesting. I know there's a lot of sides to that, but I think that's where we're going to for a lot of aspects, right? Of what can happen. This one I think is fascinating. Raise your hand if you've seen this. This, of course, was a little bit ago, right? This right here is the Tesla.
Thank you.
When you get into the car, put the seatbelt on,
Okay.
select the destination, and then start the ride.
Okay.
All right.
As soon as I buckle up, the door closes. Select a destination. How about this? New York. Why not?
So no steering wheel, no pedals, right? I didn't want to show the whole thing. I just wanted to kind of get you thinking about it, right?
The other one, like in Seattle and Vegas and everything, they do have a
Steering wheel.
They do.
So a lot of the ones, because they're already out there in Arizona, it's already approved for like the taxi. What's that one called again? Waymo. Like there's a whole bunch out there. This right? We're gonna get to the point where it's like, hey, right? How can I have my Tesla, my car, while I'm here at work, drive around and deliver Uber for me? Right? Like there's going to be more and more automation, kind of things like that. Of course, this one will make Uber.
I cut my finger making lunch, so I placed an order for some Band-Aids a couple minutes ago, and now they're 4 seconds away. That is a nearly silent drone system that can deliver a package from the sky right to my backyard in as little as 2 minutes with dinner plate accuracy. And as far as I'm concerned, that's basically teleportation.
Okay, so the reason I'm showing these is because the world's changing, right? We already knew that. None of this is like, okay, hey, this is like, none of the stuff I've shown you is like something that you haven't seen now probably, right? But ultimately, with all that's going on, with all the AI that's happening, like with all the different changes in technology, right? Very much, are you applying yourself to continue to use it and get better at it? Or are you going to be left behind is the ultimate conversation, right? This is a fascinating one. I really like, it's likely that by the end of 2030, those in good health will, with reasonable means, will hit longevity escape velocity. And the whole concept is all this aspect of being able to, with AI and all these things, we know what's going on so well with the body that it's like you can basically extend your life, right? When I was there in Texas with Dr. Axe, his date was a little different that he was kind of projecting, but he's very much like, no, like the human body's meant to last and live until 120 healthily. We just don't treat it right or do things in the right way, right? So basically, this is the same kind of thing. How are we, if we're doing the right things with technology, with AI, how are we extending our life, right? We can always talk about like the wealthiest person, right? Who would you say that is? I think it's always a pretty easy one. Warren Buffett is one that a lot of comes up or things. Who in here would trade lives right now with Warren Buffett? None of you, right? He's like 90 something years old. Like, even though he has all that money that he has, like, he would probably want to trade life with any of you guys to have that many more years back, right? So this is a fascinating one, but I like to bring it up because, again, where is that? The different things that are going on with technology, with AI, is helping us improve at an exponential rate more and more. So what are we doing as in the real estate sector to make sure that we're on top of that, improving that, and being the best that we can be, right? So the question is, why does this matter? Yeah.
Well, it matters because AI is taking over. It's not going away.
Taking over, right? Yep.
So we either jump on board and know how to use it, or like you said, you get left behind and all the leads and generation will be going to other agents who know how to use it. And because that's the way society works.
Yeah, so you nailed it. So right, like it's here and it's gonna stay. So how are we doing that so we're not left behind in that way? Good. Here, I pulled this up from Gary Keller's The Market Update, right? Of showing kind of the internet revolution versus the AI revolution of money that's been being put in. And it's fascinating because like there's a lot more money going in, and it's also an exponential of growth of where we're at on it over the years, right? Super fascinating in that way to say, hey, where is this going in that fashion? The other one is, okay, the whole story of adoption versus time, right? We're getting more and more to that point where mass adoption is coming in place, and right, we can sit here and say, no, it's not going to be like the internet, and hunker down and be ready for everything to be, back to paper, or we can say, hey, like, let's make sure to be prepared for that. So technology doesn't replace agents. Agents who use technology replace those who don't. So what we're doing, because of course this right here dropped, I've showed you guys the charts before of how quick adoption happened versus this compared to Instagram versus all these other things, right? There's all of those things out there. But one of the people that was on stage at MegaCamp who was phenomenal was Marcus. Really, really good. I have all my notes. You can go look at them. It has a lot more about his story. He's a pool guy. He started his whole thing about being a pool guy and diving into SEO and driving it that way. But I wanted to show a few points from what he's talking about for you to really understand and say, hey, how are we doing this better? And then ultimately, as a group, other times I want to plan some more masterminds around helping us actually work on this, right? Because I think that, we can go back and we can work on it and do that, but it'd also be great if we're working in a room, figuring out how to get that much more out of it, right? So this is kind of what mattered before. In his slides, he says, okay, you have customers, they matter, and okay, search engine, because those are how people find you. Either it's by word of mouth of people that like and trust you and close the deal, or they went on and said, find me a pool guy, and then they found whoever was up there paying and was a search engine, right? Okay, the next part, what's added in is AI, right? Now people, how many of you have now gone on AI and said, hey, I'm looking to go and I need this or I need that or food or whatever, right? I bet most of you have by now tried it out and done that. Have any of you searched for who's the real estate agent that I should use? Were you the one who came up? So, right? So this is where it's, okay, this is now something that matters. People are going to go and search in that way. So the reality is, right? This is what's going to matter tomorrow. This part's not going to matter as much tomorrow, right? But they're correlated in certain ways. And that's why I wanted to kind of show you from what he was saying. Ultimately, when he was going in, he says, if AI isn't recommending you, your brand, and business, we'll be in trouble. So how do we get there? He's going to, well, become the most known and trusted brand in the market by humans and AI, right? So the question is, I like this word of trusted, right? This right here is the word that they're going to be searching and saying, hey, great, how do they look and find and become that for you? And that's what the rest of what he talked about kind of was. I don't have all of his slides up here, but I wanted on the notes at the bottom, I have all of his slides in my notes that I put in there for you to go look and dive into more. But what I have is, first of all, his trust signals. So Endless Customers is his group, so this is all from him. But he has his trust signals. And this is kind of what they look for, right? So for AI and human recommendations, these are what they're looking for. They're looking for one-page pricing fee transparency. They're looking for public reviews and a volume of it. They're looking for, accuracy of claims and so on and so forth to say, hey, great, what is this and what does it look like, right? So how and what do you have out there that's showing what you do, right? He then goes and says, well, here's 4 different pillars to be a known and trusted brand. And this is where it's kind of that process. And he was like, it's really interesting in some ways. But first of all, he says, you must be willing to say what others aren't willing to say. And when his stories that he was going through on this were really interesting. He was going and he was creating blogs or videos about the 3 best pool companies, right? Or different things. And he was, and trying to make, or like, go out and creating different things, or why you should list for sell by owner rather than an agent. Like, what are the reasons why you should? He's basically saying, like, go put that out there, because if someone's now saying, hey, I want to go become a for sale by owner, that's what I'm thinking, and they find your thing and you're on there as an information source, he's like, a good amount of his deals were because they looked and got information, but then wanted someone. Right? Because you're like, but how do you go out and do that? You must be willing to show what others aren't willing to show. You must be willing to sell in ways others aren't willing to sell. And you must be more human than others are willing to be. And I know I'm talking about AI and then I'm saying you have to be more human. But the reality is, this is why you don't just say, hey, great, AI, go make what I have better. You use it, and what I'll show you next from one of the other speakers helps you then to improve it, but then you have to still be the human element to make it even better. So here's some different ways that he said, go make content. And that was kind of what a big thing that he was saying. He's like, first of all, go make a video. He's like, do it where it's one of the, I don't know if it was him. I've now listened to a few at Meg Camp and Family Reunion. But he says, go make a video, right? Not like this, but the sideways, landscape. And then you can go turn them into every single other way by doing different things. So by one good piece of information, you can go put out more content and be that person who has that out there, right? So YouTube, for example, is what TV was. There's 2 billion users and 1 billion hours daily who are on YouTube. So one of the stats that was from another person it was last year that I went to the CEO Summit. He was going through and saying only 2% of agents are using YouTube as one of their sources. So interestingly enough, if you create it and have it based on YouTube, but then go every other spot from there, again, what are the algorithms and the AI and all of that going to start doing, right? Is helping you be that trusted source. YouTube owns podcasting, right? YouTube dominates music. YouTube controls the buyer's journey. 68% of shoppers use it to research before making decisions. YouTube is becoming the new higher ed. Fascinating, right? So if we're going through doing all of this stuff and figuring out, hey, how do we become that search engine whatever for the AI, right? And that's going to be a process of continuing to improve, put out more content, be more trusted, right? In that way, then that's kind of the process, but it's going to take time. This isn't a magic bullet. This isn't me saying, hey, go do X, Y, and Z. But I want to do as a group is make sure how are we improving this and sharing our results and going from there, right? Okay, this is the CEO Summit. So Julie is a AI expert. Was awesome to listen to her in a lot of ways, some good notes. She ultimately had two things that I wanted to bring and show you guys, but I also, of course, have the notes from other things on there for you. But ultimately, the pieces that I wanted to show was, again, going back to being more human, was this right here. Her model for collaborating with AI was treating AI like your intern. You wouldn't give your intern a whole assignment to go do something and then just grab it and turn it in. You wouldn't have them respond to or do certain things, right, for you that were important and go. And she had a whole thing of, she had an intern for when she was at a different job, and they went and she told them what to do, and they came back and had 150 long PowerPoint presentation. She never looked at it, went and showed up to go present, and it was like, oh crap, this is not hitting any of the points that it was overdone in certain ways, but not just kind of a thing, right? So again, if you treat your AI as your intern, then what's the best way to do that? And she has the 20-60-20. First part is you. You need to be a better person prompting someone, right? If you're gonna go tell your intern to go do something, you better be decently descriptive, right? If you just say, hey, go do this, then you're gonna get mediocre stuff back, right? The next part is you let AI do the bulk of the work. Go have it work for you, do the next steps, come up with those parts, but then you gotta be human, and it's an intern, so you need to go back and you make sure to critique it, edit it, tell it it's wrong, go through all that process. Afterwards, Gary Keller walks out because he was one of the ones who was afterwards interviewed her after she spoke. And he was talking, he's like, hey, I really appreciate that, because when I'm talking with ChatGPT and we're creating all these things, I'll be like, no, that's not right. You just gave me, because he asked a question, he's like, hey, what are the 5 most influential books for real estate that I should be handing out? And whatever it gave did not include the MREA. And he's like, interesting. So he's like, well, what about this book? He's like, oh, that's definitely the one that should have been on the top, blah, 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 blah.
So kissing up.
Well, the fun thing is, yeah, but it's also there's a lot where you need to still be the expert and tell it that it's wrong. I was going through just recently, and I had it where it was reviewing through 2 lenders, because I had a client who was like, I have my 2 lenders, but here's my, what is it called? I just blanked. Estimates. 2 estimates. And I threw them into ChatGPT and said, hey, go through and, give me this, 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 and this, and this. I went through, because I was also looking at it on my screens, and it got 80% right, but it was missing some numbers or clumping things together. So again, I told it, I was like, hey, you missed this number. It was like, oh, yes. And then it went over and fixed it and got that much closer. But knowing, because yes, AI, it's your intern. Like, use it and make it so you're faster, have stuff more in that spot, but make sure you go back and bring the human element back in, right? Same thing, if you're using it to send off a text message to a client or critique something because you don't want to be as angry as you are, right? Have it, instead of saying great and then copying and pasting and having it where it even has the ChatGPT's like, if you want to edit this more in this way, blah, 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 right? You should have edited it. You should make it your own, right? Use what's there, use it for the power that it gives to help you adapt and change, but make sure that it's this kind of concept. Does that make sense? The next part that she goes into, which I really loved, was, okay, that top 20%. How do we become better at telling our intern what to do? Telling, the AI what to do. So she came up with the formulas that she calls prepared. So ultimately, this is what it is. It's persona, request, explain, process, aim, restrictions, examples, and discuss. Ultimately, you don't have to use all of this every single time, right? But if you want to make it as powerful as possible, then how do you go in and say what you want to say? Hey, first of all, persona. If I'm wanting to do something like, you are a first-time home buyer, and I want to do this, this, and that. Like, build out the persona. 2, I want you to do this for me. I want you to explain to me all of your woes about buying in this market, right? Next part, explain, so forth, so on, right? Going through this process. What my favorite one that I've used quite a bit is adding an example. When I have a good product that I like that I've done in the past, but I want it to help me recreate to that kind of art, having my example of saying, this is what I want, this is what I need, here's a past example, helps it populate what I'm looking for the best possible way. So going through and making sure that you're giving that 20% and that direction at the highest level possible is extremely helpful. So kind of here's then what this all goes into. I said, of course, that there's a lot of different ways to use this. So ultimately, I went in and I sat there for hours thinking of all the different options that I could be like, how could AI be working with me in different ways? And these are some of the ones that I personally came up with the whole time. No, I'm kidding, right? I went through and I edited this, I gave it a prompt, and I had it do the work, and then I went and reviewed it. These are a whole bunch of different ways to add on top of kind of what you want to do, right? Comparing things, having it go through, going through, building out descriptions and not using that exact description, but editing it and having blah, blah, right? All of these things. Here's another one. Okay, systems and operations, right? Having it so that you help it refine your systems and operations, poke holes in what you're doing, having it where you take a screenshot of what your whole week looks like on how your calendar looked and having it critique it, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can now continue to use this and have it be your intern, right, in that way, or your coach in that way, or in so many different ways, have it be improving that so that you can get there. Here's another sheet, right? You can have it go through. This is the one I use, and I was just even telling Roland today to do that. Have it critique your conversation that you had with someone, right? If you record your whole presentation with the seller and went through it, take that transcript, put it in there and say, hey, acting as my coach, how did I do? I want you to rate me. I want you not to be, I want you not to just be the overly positive, but tell me the truth of where I'm at. What can I improve? How is my tone? What words could I have? Right? And having it give that feedback. It's powerful the more and more we use it to refine what we're doing to continue to improve there, right? Having it so that it continues to give you ideas to build your AI SEO, right? lots and lots for us to kind of continually work on and improve in that fashion and manner. And I know I've shown different ones over time, but what I kind of wanted to with this one of going through and kind of being like, what's next is, first of all, seeing if the Pulse in the Room would want to do a mastermind around AI where you bring in your laptop and we work on stuff and like even with maybe a focus of SEO one day or whatever, right? Is that something that you guys would want? Okay, then we'll put that on the schedule. We'll start working on that of kind of how can we start using this and sharing that out there. But that's really the next steps is how are you using it? What's the next piece that you want to involve? I know in the past, I've kind of talked about, okay, what does your tech stack look like, right? It really depends on what you're wanting. So one that's missing from up here that I've been using more and more also is Gamma, right? But I use very much ChatGPT. I use Claude, right, for my written word and different things like that because it's better at that than ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is way better at the thought process and brainstorming and those things, right? Midjourney I use for images. Again, you're not needing all of these. It's what are you going to use? Midjourney, whenever I'm doing different things, I use for image generation and that kind of a thing. ChatGPT is getting pretty good though. Like it was, just recently had someone close. I took a photo. Well, actually, here's an example with me and my siblings. We took a photo of my parents' bathroom that's outdated and said, hey, remove all of the decor and have the walls be white instead of pink because it's outdated, right? It did it. It kept everything else. We asked it to be the same, and it showed what it would look like if it was white and all the decor was gone. It made it so that, that's what we did for their birthday presents. We fixed that and got it all looking good. It looks way better, and it looks very much similar to what ChatGPT did. So what can you use in that way, right, in those fashions? Can you, instead of sending a random text message or a GIF, can you go on ChatGPT and have it create an image for you about the situation and have it be personalized, right? Like I did once, I was chatting with my wife because she was super excited. She just went to the gym and it was after her hip surgery, blah, 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 right? And she was like super excited about certain things. I had to make a comic strip of, I had it do it at looking like my wife. And I made a comic strip of her going to the gym and being super excited and how awesome it was. And I sent that to her, right? And it looks like it, I said, hey, do a comic book that's in the likeness of this image, so on and so forth. How more human can we become because we're using tools to get more creative? And I mean, it's not like I sat down and drew a comic, right? But how are we thinking outside the box and doing that? Loom, if in your process, if you have certain videos you'd want to make explaining the next step, you can, with the Loom AI, you can go in and do a whole video explaining what the next step is with some person's name, right? I can then, with the AI, have it go in and change the name for another video, and I don't have to re-record the video. So it can go in and say, I can have it for Scott, who just bought is buying a house and explaining due diligence and what's next. And then I can have it switch and be over for Jake. Without even redoing the video, all I did was go in and have AI change the name, right? So what are you using to increase that level of human aspect while also using the resources? Autorate AI is what I use to record basically everything, right? While I am doing showings, I'm recording it. While I'm doing a buyer appointment, I record it. While I go and I'm doing my recording appointment or my coaching appointments, I'm recording them. Because the whole thing is I want to add back that value and help me not forget, right? Like when I'm meeting up with someone, they like, no, this is what I'm wanting, or, oh, hey, I actually like this, or blah, blah, blah. Like I want to be able to pull out that information and elevate the experience that much more. Perplexity, it's a great one. It's free, right? It's a good one to go through and have it get some more information. Really fascinating that way, right? Sora AI can go through and make different movies for you. If you want to add a clip onto one of your reels and do something. Like you can be like, hey, make a quick video of this, and you can then work and do all the transitions or whatever, right? Lots of different things that you can do that keep on adding to it. Don't go get it all, right? I'm not saying, hey, go now sign up for this $18, $20 subscriptions, but figure out what are the couple that you want to use and implement it into your business and life. What are the prompts that you need to get better at? And say, hey, how can I get this and do this in this way, right? That's kind of where I want to have it. So when we're masterminding, when we're working as a team to improve what we're doing, how can we not only like showcase what we're doing, but then also continue to improve on this so that we're ahead of it and we're the agents who aren't the ones being left behind because we didn't implement and involve tech. Make sense? So really, why AI is a non-negotiable competitive advantage, right? If you don't use AI strategically, you'll be outperformed by those who do. Right? AI in business is projected to grow at a compound annual rate of 35%. So, meaning the early adopters will dominate the industry within the next 5 years. The more you use it now, the better off you're going to be later, right? Keller Williams is all about building lives worth living, careers worth having, businesses worth owning, legacies worth leaving, and experiences worth giving, right? How can we go through as not only individuals, but as a group and a team to adopt AI better than anyone else, use it to our own ability, be the human though at the same time, because we're very much a relationship company and a relationship group, to get to that next level and be there for our clients. That's honestly what I had for today. I know it wasn't a whole lot of like, hey, let's do this together, or hey, here's an exact way to do something. But hopefully my goal and what I want you to think of is what is something or that you can now practice and use with the AI in your life, in your business, to elevate that experience and game so that the next thing that you can do is even easier, right? And then we'll get it on the schedule. I'd love to have as many of us there as possible. So we're masterminding using AI, sharing what we're doing, but then also even like we'll have a little bit where if it's about SEO, then I'll have it be where, okay, ask this question. And then now we have to go do stuff, right? Because it's still going to be that process in getting it so the word is out of who we are, what we do, that kind of thing. But any questions? We have a few more minutes before, lunch might already be here, but.
Yeah, when we do this on the calendar.
Yeah.
If you would give us like maybe this is an idea, but like a checklist of, hey, this is what we're working on this week. So we could all come up like maybe a little, whatever it is we need to bring. So then we've got our laptop and we're actually
participating.
Productive.
Okay.
Going through it together and then we all kind of get stuff done at the same time we're learning how to do it.
Perfect. So have it be where it's a little bit of a working session in that way, and then give you enough time to have it. So then the big question is, if I send that out in an email, are you going to read it so that you're prepared for that meeting?
Probably not.
Dang it. That was what I was worried about. No. Okay, good. So I appreciate that. That will be perfect. I'll think of what it's going to be on, and then we'll have time to still just brainstorm and share and kind of work as a group to improve that. But I'll have something that's, hey, we're going to work on this to kind of help us improve in that way.
Me, I struggle with, I learned stuff, but then going back and doing it is the struggle that I've got. But if we were doing it together, you're not just taking an hour and a half or whatever out of your day to go learn. More learning and learning and learning.
Totally.
Doing it, but if we can just all actually do it at the same time,
Okay.
hands on.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we'll do that. Then we'll kind of work from there, and I'll give it where it's like, hey, this is what's coming up. Get ready. Have these things. Love it. What other questions? Yeah.
If you want a great podcast that kind of dives into it, a lot of this, if you haven't, go look up Diary on CE.
Mhm.
It's got excellent content. It's well worth it, easy to listen to. I've got a ton of information on AI and where it's going, what kind of what to do and how to get ahead of the curve on that.
No, yep, diary. That one does have a lot of good information on it. So, and it's not even just about AI, right? Like they go into every aspect of
Diary
Of- yep, Diary of a CEO.
You can listen to it on.
It-
It covers everything.
It's a good one. Yeah, he interviews people who are top notch in any different area. Like he's brought on some good AI speakers. He goes in, and if you're looking about specifically health, if you're like, it goes into any different aspect. So it's a very broad one for you to go listen to, unless you want to go pick certain ones. But it does a good job. Look, what are questions?
You make this slideshow.
Parts of it. I used my assistant. No, Kenny. So Kenny made most of it. I mostly did a quick video. I did use ChatGPT to create the whole structure and outline, and I told it what I didn't like and what I did like. And then I had it revise some certain things. Then I grabbed different ones that I know from the past, and I went through. And so a lot of the beginning was from other classes I've attended where they talk about AI stuff. And then the whole middle was built out because of what ChatGPT was recommending based on some structures that I gave it. And then it was the classes that I took, and it went and read my Notion page, and then used that to help me build out a few more things. But yeah, just kind of mix there. Yeah. But yeah, so there was multiple times that I used AI throughout it to help with the leverage. Like even like some of the quotes, I was like, I don't want to type that quote up. So I took a screenshot, threw it in, and had it transcribe it, and then copied that and put it in. Right? Like I was like, I'm not gonna go grab this image that I have saved over here and type up word by word to make sure I spelled it right. Right? Like how can you use it to speed things up and have it be that way? What are questions? Okay. Like I said, the challenge is what is one thing that you can do, right, to use AI better and kind of continue to and actually implement it, right? And there's a lot of different things that you could do. Well, you could even right now, if you wanted, here's a quick one. I would challenge each of you to pull out your AI, if it's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is, and think of someone that you are grateful for and have it create an image about that, and send it over to them. I know, that's cheesy, right? Instead of texting what you're grateful for. Yeah. Well, that's just.
What's the prompt?
So the prompt, well, the prompt ultimately would be something, it depends on how you want to do it. If you wanted to, all right, the prompt that I did once where I had it where I put in a photo of my wife, right? And then I said what I wanted it to have and be like in the likeness of, and it knows Carly, like, because I talk to mine all the time, right? But in the likeness of my wife, make a comic strip about this, this, and this. You could, though, even just, if you don't even want to use that, you could even go in and just say, hey, the prompt is, I wanted to create a gratitude image about X, Y, and Z that this person does really well. But then have that be with your text, right? You now sent something that was like, something that you're grateful for is this, this, and this about someone. And now it has this fun little image or whatever that you had it help create, even if it's not a comic strip of them, right? I'm just saying, like, how can you get creative? And then, of course, you say, hey, I was just thinking of you, really grateful that you're really, like, this, this, and this. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think about this, if the early adopters are gonna dominate the industry in the next 5 years. I'm just wondering, like, how you think that will be? Is it gonna be because they're more productive? Is it gonna be because they're more sound? Like in what way will they dominate?
Yeah. To some degree, all of them, right? Like if you think about it, okay, if you can be more efficient, and then, okay, you're dominating because you have more control over your life, and that's the business owner that we want to be, right? We want to be the person who can have time for our family and do things and be showing up at a high level. being seen and heard. Like, okay, if you're using AI correctly and they type in, hey, who's the agent in this area, and your name comes up, you're going to get more deals, right? All right. If so, in a lot of ways, all of it. Really, what it always boils down to, and this is why like Keller Williams for the longest time has always been about building relationships. It's really going to ultimately always be about the relationship you create, right? That's going to be the primary thing. In one of the meetings that we were having with Gary Keller and Jason Abrams, he said, Jason Abrams was talking, he's like, hey, if you guys would all just actually call your SOI and build a relationship with them, all these lead generation companies wouldn't have business because they would know who they're supposed to call, right? Only reason we're paying for all the lead generation companies is because they don't have someone who's their person that they're thinking of. Kind of fascinating. So I think that your biggest barrier still is always going to be that aspect, but every aspect is going to be influenced by AI and improve that in some form or fashion. So that's kind of a blanket statement, but at the same time, I think it answered your question.
They threw out an answer there, but
Yeah.
We've all done it where we've been talking about something and then all of a sudden the advertisements start showing, you're like, dude, what's listening to me, right? I mean, because all of a sudden you talk about something with your wife and then all of a sudden you start getting advertisements.
Yep.
And you freaks you out a little bit, but AI is getting to the point where based on what you're doing on your cell phone, it's gathering all that data and it knows when buyers are about to start entering the market. So if they're about to start entering the market and all of a sudden your stuff starts showing up in front of them, that's you're going to be ahead of them. And then I had an experience recently. I know every one of you have done this where I get leads from one of these junk places at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It pops up. Somebody looked at a website or something, and they register for to be able to see more on the website at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, obviously, I'm not calling them at 2 o'clock in the morning. But what we've done is set up an AI bot that will call them as soon as they register that lead, and it says, "Hi, I'm Sarah with I'm an AI bot, but I saw you just registered for this. We want to take care of you, and we're getting appointments like at 2 o'clock in the morning. That AI bot is setting appointments for me in the morning."
Totally.
Wow.
And that's where it's just like, what are you using? What's next? How are you using it? And continuing to move in that direction, right? I'm not asking all of you to now go be AI programmers and like build out all of that, but at the same time, how can you continue to use it so you were more in that right spot, right? Yeah.
And it's already done. I mean, probably there's a couple programs out there
Mhm.
that are lead stuff. They're light years ahead of where I even thought about it.
Totally.
I hadn't, they had questions I hadn't even thought about.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, that's what I had for today. So appreciate you guys all coming. Jump on, food's not quite here yet. So, but it should be here any second. But you guys are welcome to stay, mingle, chat. We have conversation mastery right after this. And let's go continue to get to the next level.